Hi guys, here's the easiest way to apply progressive overload to keep making progress in the gym indefinitely. That technique has worked on me, it has worked on many other people, and it still works, so make sure to stay till the end. The first thing that you need to take into consideration before even trying to apply progressive overload is to make sure that you have a good execution, right? Because if you don't have a good execution, the rest is just pointless. A good execution prevents you from getting injured, and it also helps targeting the muscle effectively. So use a proper execution, full range of motion, try to avoid putting your joints in weird positions. This way you will not end up injured. Now that you have a proper execution, let's talk about the rep range. My progressive overload technique is pretty simple. The next time you're going to the gym, you pick a weight with which you can do 8 repetitions, not a single repetition more, and that's going to be your weight for the next workout. Now I say 8 repetitions because the usual rep range that people use is 8 to 12 repetitions, but the rep range, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of misconception. People say 8 to 12 is the best rep range. As long as you train hard, close to failure, there is no difference, right? So whether you're doing 5 to 8 repetitions or 10 to 15 or even 15 to 20 repetitions, it doesn't matter. Now you don't want to go above, I would say 25 or even 30 repetitions, because you end up working muscle endurance rather than muscle hypertrophy, right? But between 5 to 25 repetitions, choose the rep range you prefer. It's as simple as that. And train close to failure, right? If you're doing bicep curls, for example, and your rep range is 8 to 12 repetitions, the next time you're in the gym, you pick a weight with which you can do only 8 repetitions, close to failure, and then you're gonna work out with this weight. So with time, obviously, you'll be able to accumulate more and more repetitions with that weight. And then after a few workouts, after a few weeks, you'll be able to reach the upper limit of your rep range, so 12 repetitions. And once you can do 12 repetitions, good execution, full range of motion for at least 2 sets, you can increase the weight. And with that new weight, you do the exact same thing. You stay with this weight for the next few workouts, for the next few weeks, and once you can do 12 repetitions, you increase the weight, and you do that over and over again. And with that, you gradually increase the weight you're using, and you gradually gain strength and muscle. Now, what about the amount of sets you're doing? Do you have to increase it? Do you have to decrease it? In my opinion, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to change, right? You need to keep the same amount of sets each workout for your chest, for every single muscle group. Because frankly, if you just apply progressive overload by just gradually increasing the repetitions and the weight you're using, you're perfectly fine. For example, I do only 6 sets of quads per week. I do only 1 workout and it works very well on me. I keep making progress, I keep gaining strength and gaining muscle. The only situation where you want to increase the number of sets is if you really have a weak point and you're recovering enough. If you don't have troubles, for example, recovering on your biceps, you can increase 1 set of biceps, but it's not the primary factor for my progressive overload method. What you need is to increase the intensity, go harder, right? Train close to failure, to actual failure. Because the thing is, most people, they underestimate their capacities. So they believe they're like 1 rep in reserve, so they're 1 rep before failure, but actually they are maybe 3 or 4 repetitions before failure. So just focus on training with high intensity, close to failure, apply progressive overload on the reps and on the weight. And unless you have a weak point, you're gonna be just fine. You don't need to increase the number of sets. Now, the next parameter is rest periods. I don't think it's that important. Also, you don't really have to change it. The optimal rest periods for hypertrophy, according to science, are 2 to 3 minutes in between each set. It's maybe a lot because even though you enjoy working out, you don't want to spend an hour and a half in the gym. That's completely normal. So just try 1 to 2 minutes. You don't want to go lower than 1 minute. Otherwise, it ends up being very detrimental for your performance. So 1 to 2 minutes in between each set, and obviously it depends on the exercise, right? If you're doing a big compound lift like squats or deadlift, you probably need 2 minutes at least, very least. But for little exercises like calf raises, bicep curls, 1 minute, a minute and a half is just enough. Find a rest period that works for you, that doesn't make your workouts too long, and keep that rest period. And finally, the last important aspect of progressive overload is the intensification techniques like drop sets, partial repetitions, rest pause, supersets. All those techniques are not indispensable, right? You can completely make gains, gain strength, gain muscle over time without using any intensification technique. Now I get it. It makes it more fun, it makes you have a great pump, it's enjoyable, right? I personally enjoy drop sets and partial repetitions. So what I personally do, I use an intensification technique on the last 2 sets of each muscle group. So for example, on push day, on the last 2 sets for my chest, I do drop sets. But you don't want to go above that, you don't want to go a drop set on your first set of your workout, because otherwise it ends up being very detrimental for the rest of your workout. It's counterproductive. And also because it messes up your recovery, right? So just 2 drop sets, 2 intensification techniques per muscle group, ideally on the last 2 sets, and you're gonna be just fine. So to recap the whole method, you just have to pick a weight with which you can do 8 repetitions, or it doesn't matter the weapon you're using, you get the gist. You train close to failure, full range of motion. Once you're able to do 12 repetitions, you increase the weight. You do the exact same thing with that new weight. You don't need to change the number of sets, you don't need to change the rest periods, and this way you get stronger and you grow more muscle over time. Now I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you want to support me, you can simply subscribe to my channel and click the bell button. It's completely free. You can also leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.